Where the fuck is McClay?
Like his bitch now. And so they had that fight. There's no one. Bernie was
never. Make sure you show that. The Bogcast, episode 85. Me.
And then do it right here.
Oh, that was in.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
He's a fucking pro, dude.
I know. What the fuck am I talking about? Action.
Awesome. This is the Bogcast episode, was it 85?
85.
85. I'm your host, Keith Obit, with my co-host, Brian McClay. We are brought to you by Bang Salon. Come get all your hair needs, including cuts, natural colors, vivid colors, extensions, shampoo and stylings, all under one roof at Bang Salon. Find and message Bang Salon on Instagram at Bang Salon, at BANGDSALON. Use promo code
Bogcast
for 20% off your first visit. So come on down and get banged by Jordan. But if you really try to bang her, I'll fucking kill you. Cool.
Check us out on Spotify, on Google Play, all your favorite podcatchers. Make sure to like and subscribe. Check us out on iTunes. Leave a comment, leave a review, and check us out on Instagram at thebogcast.
Sweet. Thanks, Brian. Really excited to have our next guest today. To be honest with you, he's probably should have been on the show way sooner. He's been a pivotal part of the podcast, whether he knows that or not. Early on when we started this show, we had no fucking clue what we were doing, and there was a group of people that I reached out to say, hey, can you help me get this shit off the ground, until I figure this shit out? And one of those people was our next guest. He's he's heavily involved here in the film community. Everything from a gaffer, fucking AD, he's probably done every role on a set, I'm sure. He writes scripts. He's been part of a feature film that we're shooting right now called Late Fees, and he's also a good friend of mine, Andrew Tougas. How's it going, brother?
Good, buddy. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Fuck yeah, man. So, like I said, you've been so involved with the Phoenix film community for a while here now and shit. Like, what got you into it? Like, was it like growing up, your love from movie? Actually, this is my first question is, how did you even know and find out about it? Because to me, it was such a foreign world. And I luckily ran into an individual who brought me onto a set and opened the world to me. But before that, I never knew you could get involved in like films and acting in here in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, especially because it's kind of a small world here when it comes to the film community.
Totally.
Especially. Yeah. Well, and I mean, so I always had a really like strong love for movies, right? And as I was younger, and particularly in high school, I was definitively a fuck up. I did some dumb shit when I was younger. Yeah, I think we can all raise our hand on that. So I was my parents were very strong on like, you gotta fucking go to college.
That's
right?
how mine were.
Yeah, especially because I fucked up so much in high school. So I took a year off after high school, and then I went to college just for an associate's in arts degree. Just like what anyone who doesn't know what the fuck they're gonna do does.
I'm on the 20-year associates program.
Are you really? You still going?
It's one of two. It's either associate in arts or associates in business.
Yep. Yeah. And then the people who decide to go 4 years go for psychology.
You got it.
No fucking clue. But so I didn't know what the fuck I was gonna do, so I took an associate's in arts degree. And like the first semester in, I had a humanities class, which was like introduction to cinema. And I realized pretty early on in that class that I knew a lot more about movies than just about anyone there. And a lot of them were actually enrolled in the film program. So, yeah.
What school was this?
This was GCC. So, yeah.
I didn't know they had a film program.
Yeah,
there.
and not a lot of people know. That's not that it's like a terrible program, but I just don't know too many people that come out of
well, because everyone
GCC.
always talks about Scottsdale. SEC,
yep.
Scottsdale.
Yep.
Yeah.
I hang out with a lot of the SEC kids. I work with a lot of them, and a lot of ASU kids, of course. But so... yeah, so I took the humanities class, and I felt I knew a good amount. And yeah, that's kind of how it went. I just I vibed with the teacher. Obviously, I really loved movies. I had been watching them all my life. I remember like one of my youngest memories was my dad waking me up when I was like 8 years old and being like, hey, come downstairs. You're really going to like this movie. Well, it was fucking Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one. So, like, the image of Johnny Depp being sucked into
Yeah.
his
How old
bed
were
and
you?
fucking...
Like,
I was
8.
Oh,
eight.
eight,
Yeah,
eight,
I swear to
sorry.
God, my dad, he's a fucking savage. 8-year-old waking me up like, hey, come watch this fucking terrifying movie. So
Trying to make a man out of you.
yeah, exactly. So one of my earliest memories is genuinely like, well, not earliest memories, but one of the earliest
Movies.
ones with movies is Johnny Depp imploding or exploding onto a fucking ceiling. And
I always thought it was cool when parents like you know their kids watch movies like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't
Movies,
think
yeah.
there's
Oh, yeah.
anything too wrong with that. I mean,
Yep.
I know a lot of people you
At
know,
a certain age.
at
At a certain age,
yeah.
because
not like 3, 4, 5.
yeah, 5.
but-
Because my brother was just terrified of Michael Myers for the longest time because like we kind of forced him to watch Halloween 4 when it came out.
oh, that's
And it
funny.
scared the
Traumatized him?
and it's
Well, now
traumatized-
guess what,
But now
though?
he loves
And has a
Michael
tattoo
Myers.
on
He's got
his
a,
leg,
and he's got
yeah.
a sick
Is 4 like Return of Michael Myers? That's the one where they introduced the cousin. I know that.
Yeah, 4 was like one of the biggest ones.
Okay, yeah, because everyone was pissed off over Season of the Witch, which
Yes.
I actually fucking like
Yeah.
that movie.
Really?
It's so weird and creepy. I like it. Don't get me
I
wrong.
can't even remember it. All I remember about it is it has nothing to do with Michael Myers.
Yeah, nothing. And I
Yeah.
remember when I first watched it, it was like when AMC used to actually play classic movies,
Yeah.
or classic movies in this case. But they were doing the Halloween marathon, so I watched 1 and 2, and then 3 comes on, and the whole fucking time I'm like, when is Michael Myers gonna get here?
Yeah.
When are they gonna show him, right? And like the movie's like almost over, and I'm like, is he gonna pop out of the corner or some shit? What is going on? But as I got older, there's more of an appreciation for that film and what it tried to do, because like anthologies are pretty big now,
Yeah.
particularly in TV when you look at like American Horror Story. Even though
Oh yeah.
I have definitive problems with that show, there's
Yeah.
only like 2 good seasons out of
Yeah.
it, in my
Well, I
opinion.
do
Well,
like
they were-
shows that where they change the plot every season, like Fargo and
Yeah.
like where
Yep,
it's a
True
whole different-
Detective.
Yeah, True
Yep.
Detective. I love
Yep.
that kind of
How-
stuff.
me too.
Halloween was trying to do that.
Yep,
they
that's
were
what-
were trying not to paint themselves into a corner.
Yep, that's what Carpenter wanted to do in particular. He was very big on that, and I'm a big Carpenter.
Yeah, what a
fan,
bad
so-
motherfucker he
Yeah,
is, right?
yeah, he's a savage. But so they wanted to do that definitively, and it just bombed. It didn't do very well, so they just brought Michael back. But I have an appreciation for that film and the way it's shot and just the atmosphere of it. You know what I mean? It's definitely, in my opinion, the creepiest, except for like the original. It's fucking out there. So I like that movie a lot.
Here's what I remember about Halloween. I remember Jamie Lee Curtis, and it always makes me think of how glorious her tits were in Trading Spaces.
Yeah, yeah.
She had the fucking nicest tits, and to be a little kid, every time I see Jamie Lee Curtis, that's what I think of. I instantly just
I just
like
think of her as this
misogynistic.
old lady now.
Yeah, she is an old lady, but I bet she's got
still got
money.
nice tits.
She's still got nice tits.
Jamie,
Shout
if
out
you're
to Jamie
seeing
Lee
this,
Curtis.
yeah. Hi, how you doing?
Yeah.
I hope to work with you at
Yeah.
some point in time.
Yeah, there is a rumor about Jamie Lee Curtis that went around forever that she was
The dude?
She
remember
had
that.
both male and female parts.
Didn't they say that about like Sierra or some
They
shit?
probably say that. It's probably like the same old
Yeah.
Richard Gere gerbil up the
Yeah,
butt type thing.
yeah.
Or
I think
or-
that's true though. I buy that totally, bro.
My favorite was when Marilyn Manson was supposed to be the dude from the Wonder Years.
Yes,
When we were
Paul.
in high school.
I remember
yeah.
that one,
I was
yeah.
like, no, that's sick.
Yeah, that's funny.
there was always another one where you always heard that he removed a
His
rib.
ribs to suck his own dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a
Anyways.
talent.
Yeah.
That is such a talent.
Anyways,
No, you're not the first dude to come on here or person even to say that, you know, they just went to college and then took this on as elective and then kind of, I mean, I guess becoming a career in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you've done all kinds of different things in the professional field.
Yeah,
side of it,
definitely.
as far as camera operator, right? Or
Mhm. Yeah, for Channel 7 for a long time.
is
Yeah.
that
AZTV.
AZTV.
Yeah, with like Pat McMahon and in the early years, Catherine Anaya was there. She won an Emmy recently, some sort of journalistic
yeah,
Emmy.
she's a big name.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's nice too. I mean, you know, it's funny because sometimes like super professionals in that field can be intimidating early on.
Yes.
Mhm.
But her and I vibed a lot, you know what I mean? It was at the point where she would only let me mic her because you use lav mics, and she would always wear like dresses that didn't have belts. So essentially, it's hard to mic someone in that way. You're either putting it on the back of their bra or on the top of their dress.
Yeah.
And I was like the only one that could mic her without yanking her hair out, essentially.
Yeah, she felt comfortable.
Yeah, so she would come up to me every morning and be like, Drew, I need you to mic me up. I'd be like, all right, I got you. Just give me 2 seconds, essentially. But yeah. So I worked there, and like I said, with Pat McMahon, Danielle Williams, who's awesome. If anyone doesn't know Danielle Williams, look her up. She's a great comedian, local comedian. And
We're always looking for stand-ups and shit.
Yeah,
dude, so.
she's a great person. She really is. She has so much personality too. She'd be awesome to get on this. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
How did you? Oh, sorry.
How long did you do that for?
3 years, I would say. 3 years.
That had to be pretty intimidating at first, right?
Yeah, I remember my first couple days like fucking
Well, what were
shaking
your
on
roles
camera.
and shit?
So I started as like in studio camera op. I was on camera 2, so I would largely be on the guest depending on the
Is
position.
that
in
those
the
big
studio.
ass cameras, like
Yeah.
TV cameras?
Yeah, bigger ones. Although they were a little older, but they're still big cameras, nice cameras. So, and I would usually be on the guest in studio, and my friend Charles was the atrium camera, which is like the free roaming over the shoulder camera. They do like food segments and like music segments oftentimes out there. And he was ex-military, so he ended up getting a new job as an engineer because that was kind of what he did. That was what he did.
Cannabis cough. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. That's what he did in the military. So he got a job going to Portland working on train engines, I think, or just working on trains in some way. So when he left, they promoted me. I was kind of the most senior person left on cameras. It was about a year and a half in. So they promoted me to the atrium camera. So I was like the free roaming camera for, I'd say,
Ooh.
yeah, I'd say a year and a half easily.
By the way, that's what you did on the Bogcast, the first few
Yes, it
episodes.
was.
Yes,
It was
and
sick.
if anyone watches that, I want to formally apologize to you guys. I never realized my shutter speed was fucked.
I don't
So
even know what that means.
essentially what it is it helps.
No, I
with-
mean I kind of is it
Yeah.
like the
Well,
opening and closing.
it can
or-
it can allow more light to come in and
Mm-hmm.
out, but also it creates motion blur if it's too low, right? So like if I'm taking a still image of like a bird, you want your shutter speed to be higher so you can catch it in a still frame, unless you want the motion blur of the wing or something
Dude,
like that.
that never even came across my mind. I thought it was amazing. Though, as far as like being such a beginner editor at the time,
Yeah.
like it was just so many camera angles, you know what
Yeah.
I mean, to deal with it, you know what I mean. But like fucking, when I look back at those episodes, especially the camera you're using, it was so good. Like it had like a kind of a cinematic feel to it. And
Yeah.
Everybody that
even
saw
Chad's, Chad's camera. You guys had those cameras together. It looked
everybody
so
that
good.
saw those first episodes would always comment, "Holy shit, your cameras on your first episodes
Yeah.
are amazing."
Fuck
really
dude.
good.
Yeah.
Well, no, Chad, he had an amazing lens on there. I mean, it was probably just a 50 or something, but it was a really nice 50.
What do they shoot with
And-
on the AZTV?
They use like JVC, like Panasonic studio cameras. So like if you ever see like a news team out in the field and they got the big camera over their shoulder,
But they're
that's
just
it.
like on those big rollers. Is that
Yeah,
because
so
they just
in,
look big.
Yeah, in studio it's on a tripod with wheels,
Mm-hmm.
so you can do like trucking shots and you can dolly over to get a better position. But like I said, with me in the atrium, I was like over the shoulder, so I had the camera here all day.
But when you're free roaming, you could just do whatever you want.
Essentially, as long as you're not like turning around and not shooting the talent and just focusing on some random person doing work in the background, yeah, you can basically do it. So it was cool because I'd be able to like go down. I had to practice like with the weight on my shoulder going down to one knee and then fluidly getting back up, things like that. And I almost fell one time live on TV.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I almost. And you could literally see the camera. Like I went down to get a shot, and like as I pop back up, you see the camera go like oh shit! I literally rolled. I rolled my fucking ankle and almost fell, and I luckily didn't and caught myself. We did scenes outside or segments outside and I almost got hit by a car once.
Oh, shit.
No, that's not AZTV's fault. It was the asshole driving. It was definitively his fault because you have someone behind you spotting you
Oh, for
and
sure.
letting
Yeah.
you know. if
Holding
you're too
cables and
close.
shit.
Yep.
How
And,
often
yeah.
would you shoot outside?
It depended. It depended on the segment. So like sometimes if obviously if you have like a segment showing off rascal scooters or an RV or some shit,
They
you
would
gotta
pull
shoot
them out to
outside.
the parking lot type thing.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
So we would run this like BNC cable or SDI cable out the door, and it would be right out in our little parking lot. Yeah, and I'd shoot out there. So I shot in like 3 different locations. There's like an atrium, which is the central hub for like the office building there, which used to be like a Circle K headquarters, I believe. That's why if you ever see it, there's a Circle K connected to it. And then yeah,
That's
back.
freaking cool.
yeah, it used to be like a Circle K headquarters, from what I've heard. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's true. And then so there was an atrium, which was like a central hub inside of the office building, and then we had the foyer, which was like the foyer of right outside where the studio is and some of the people's like offices, and then the parking lot, which was just outside. So those are the 3 main spots. Although I've been watching a little bit now, and they've not only upgraded the studio, they've upgraded the foyer, and they're doing more segments out in the field, which is great to see. I have a friend there, Aaron, who's doing a really, really good job. He's editing, and he's now the free roaming camera, the atrium camera, and yeah, they've really upgraded and changed a lot of things about that place. So it looks good now. They're doing a
Would
good job.
you have somebody behind you like carrying all the cables and
Yep.
cords?
Yeah, someone would carry
spotters.
cable, and then they would give cues to the talent to know how much time they had left. And they would also like let you know if you're about to hit something, which sometimes can be great and sometimes can suck, because sometimes you'll have like 2 feet to go and someone will firmly put a hand on your back, which usually for me signals like you're dead close to touching something. So when I'm like fluidly walking back, I'd like break really quick and you'd see this kind of jarring stop. And you know, that just happens sometimes with live TV. It's not an easy thing to do.
Well, that's what I want to talk about. It being live, that's got to be a certain element of stress. I mean, I can imagine doing this live.
Yeah, definitively. Well, and especially at the end, because I was having some like health issues going on, so I'd like wake up every morning for like 1 to 2 months and throw up before I'd go to work.
I remember when that was going on.
Yeah,
man.
It was brutal. It was brutal. So
I'm so glad that you're doing better.
Oh
now.
Yeah, I feel great now.
You look awesome
thank
now
you.
too. By the way,
I appreciate that, because I gained a lot of weight before that happened, and then I lost.
Did they put
pounds.
you? Did they put you on steroids or something?
No.
What was? If you don't mind me asking,
Go ahead.
Like stomach issues?
Yeah, so I mean, at one time they told me I had likely had IBS, but then I probably can't go into this too much. If you've been on set with me, you've probably heard me say this before, but especially at around that time, I was living in an apartment that had like outrageous amounts of black mold in it.
No shit.
And that was likely what was causing it, because since I've moved out, my health has gotten significantly better. I'm not throwing up in the mornings, and I gained another 30 pounds back. So I went from like 180 to 135 to like 160.
And I remember that because I would see you on set and you were a little bit heavier, and then I saw you and then you lost the weight. I totally remember all that, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough because, like I said, I'd wake up, I'd puke, I'd collect myself, take a shower, go to work, feel like shit. I'd start like, no, you're good, don't worry. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'd go to work and start like shaking and shit. yeah, like, oh, okay. But I'd start shaking, which obviously free roaming camera shake is not good. You know what I mean? And along with that, if you're in the studio, even shake's not good. You know what I mean? You'll see that. So I was so confused and so upset and so angry because I'd done it for 2 years and gained all this confidence, 2.5 years at that point. And my confidence just dropped because I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Every time I was at work, I was like fucking shaking and I was sweating, and I threw up at work a couple times. And luckily AZTV was great because they could see something was wrong, and they never fired me. They let me take all the time off that I needed, which was, I've never taken more time off of work in my life than that.
Did they find out what it was right away, or did they took a long time to discover?
Took a long time. My neighbor came down and said she was having the issue, and I'd realized like I'd always have like these drinks on me, right? And I realized that I would take one out of the fridge and it would just be like sweating. Like I would put it down on my table, and within 5 minutes there would be just a pool of water dripping off of it because the humidity was so high in my apartment. And this is in the middle of summer. This was July. So I assumed maybe it was just because it was more humid out, because that's like monsoon season. But when she told us it was mold, it kind of clicked. And so yeah, we it's kind of a long story. I don't want to go into everything too much, but the apartment fought back with us. We brought in our own people to look at it, and they ended up calling us, and they were like, yo, we don't call people and warn them unless it's a big deal, and this is a big deal. You guys need to get out of that apartment right now. It's that bad. So yeah, it was pretty crazy, and I'm like 99% sure that was the cause of it. Because like I said, as soon as I got out, I pretty much started feeling better immediately.
Thank God.
Yeah.
That's scary, bro.
Yeah, it is, especially because I was thinking, some crazy shit. I wasn't sure.
And you could have learned much later.
Mm-hmm.
And
no shit, and died.
Yeah, we still had
that shit will kill you, won't it?
We still had like 4 months left, and if it I mean, it probably can, but what it can really do is cause severe brain damage, especially for people that are more susceptible and allergic to it. So if you're
just like a shitty immune system,
or just a really bad, and I think it did drop my immune system a lot, but I could be wrong on that. There's other factors involved, but yeah, it was definitely sketch. It was one of the weirder situations I've ever been through. So yeah, I'm happy I'm in my new condo and enjoying it. It's very nice, no mold. So yeah, it's good.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you just saw it affecting your work performance at AZTV.
Yeah, big time. Yeah. It was at the point where I didn't want to touch a camera for a long time because I was afraid I'd just fuck up the footage. If someone came out to pay me, I was afraid I'd just shake the whole time and just have no usable footage whatsoever. And luckily, recently, I've been out covering things on my own, just doing it, and I'm seeing that's not necessarily the case. I can shoot footage and it looks fine.
I was gonna ask you, like, do you notice a different when you're working like with your stamina and stuff now?
Yeah,
that
you've been shooting like a motherfucker recently, right?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I've been out just covering what's going on in downtown
all
Phoenix
fucking day.
Yeah, and no, yeah, and that's actually is a big thing, is the stamina. I could feel like after 2 hours of working at AZTV, I'd be dead tired, I'd be fatigued, and I'd feel weak. Like those are 3 definitive things.
Those cameras are heavy, right?
Yeah, they're heavy. They're like 15 pounds, 10 pounds, anywhere in there. It's not too bad though, especially when it's mounted on your shoulder. You know what I mean? And I got so used to it for doing it for a year. It was kind of second nature.
You just have like one side more jacked than the other.
A little bit, yeah. I feel like my right side is definitively well, and it's funny though because going from being able to stabilize on your shoulder to now like rocking a DSLR out in front of you like this or whatever.
It's like nothing.
Well, actually, I feel more comfortable with it over a bigger camera over the shoulder than I would.
Not out.
Yeah,
more control.
Yeah. Yep, more control, definitively. Yeah, and I let my body do more of the talking than like zooming or whatever. Yeah.
And you're going from you've been shooting a lot of actual picture stuff, not many videos, but you're also shooting a couple videos I've seen, right?
Yeah, a couple videos. That's largely like things that are too hard to capture in just an image.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
Okay, so explain what you've been doing lately here in Phoenix.
So for anyone watching this in the distant future, this is in the middle of the Black Lives Matter protests going on. And I don't want to get too much into the politics of it or anything, but I've been watching a lot of coverage of what's going on in DC and other places. And I know a lot of news stations are focusing on a lot of negatives. And it's not like I'm out there manipulating shit to make it seem like it's more positive than it is. I just wanted to go out the first couple of days and see what it was like for myself and take some good photos. Because, like, no matter what you think about what's going on, it's historic. Like, 50 states are protesting in 18 countries. Sure, yeah. This is the biggest protest I think that have ever been recorded.
This could be one of the biggest moments in the history of this country.
Yep.
If not the world.
Yep. No, I agree. I agree.
People should be documenting this
shit.
Yep.
And that's essentially what I'm trying to do is just get footage, get pictures, try and have a little bit of artistic license and take some, artsy photos.
I was going to ask
some of them
you.
Came out badass.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. I've seen one where a guy was handing another guy some water that was really good.
Yep.
Like, are you just constantly shooting? Just constant? So how many shots are you taking in a day that when you have to go through to find the good ones?
Probably just over 100, and you'll probably only get like 15 really good ones out of it. Because a lot of the time, I'm in the middle of it, right? I'm in the middle of the pack to really show all the people. And I'm like sticking my camera up here, taking shots and shit. So I can't obviously see. I have a T6, so I can't, twist my viewfinder. It's mounted to the back of the camera. So half of the time I'm basically getting focused down low on a far object, aiming up high and taking shots. And some of those turned out well. A lot of them don't. A lot of the things like the guy handing out water, I mean, no one's focused on the fact that the community's out there in mass.
Yes.
There's every corner, someone's handing out waters, they're handing out masks, they're handing out sunscreen, hand lotion, shit like that. Food, yep, lots of snacks. There's people with wagons picking up trash, which there hasn't been an excessive amount of trash that I've seen, but there's people out there ensuring there isn't extra trash. I mean, it's a strong community.
Most importantly, the past week it's been peaceful, right?
Oh, very peaceful. Yeah, and not only that, I do want to say that I give credit to Phoenix PD because from what I've seen, and don't get me wrong, New York has it hard. They got a fucking big population, and they've probably had the worst of the riots, but some of the shit I've seen is pretty wild from their part, and Phoenix PD has been nothing but good. Not only good, but like excellent. And the way they're handling it, they're just out there and they haven't used any force, which they shouldn't when it's a peaceful protest. So, yeah.
Were you out there? Were you out there when they did the solidarity thing where they knelt with the protesters? Wasn't that?
So Jerry Williams, the Phoenix, what's the word? Not sheriff, but essentially the person in charge of Phoenix PD, the chief. Yeah, thank you. She was out there Friday, and I went out Saturday because I went out on Thursday and it was like I said, it was like 110. And I'd already gone 2-3 days, so my legs were killing me. So I was like, fuck it, I gotta take a break. I'll go back out Saturday. So I missed her on Friday. But every day there's police walking with them, but not as a part of the protest to ensure that things are good. They stay at the back of the pack. And I've talked to a lot of them. They're awesome. They'll answer just about any question. Some of them will be like, if you catch me on my day off on certain questions, I'll answer that.
Yeah,
but
respect. That's respect.
And it's totally respectful. Yeah, I'm not going to sit there and I'm not a fucking real journalist, so I'm not going to be like, no, you need to answer this. You know what I mean?
And fuck those journalists that do that.
Yeah.
The guy's doing his job
I agree.
now.
I agree. But a lot of them are willing to talk. And a lot of them, and the overwhelming consensus is that just about every officer is outraged by what happened in Minneapolis.
Yes. I feel bad for the police right now. Like, I definitely would not want to be a police officer, and I know what they're doing and the protesting is for them, but like there are good police officers out there too, and like
the majority of them are good.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of the arguments people are making is, and again, I'm not saying I agree with anything
Of
or
course.
disagree with anything. I'm trying to be as unbiased as
Yeah, me too,
possible
yeah.
and just show you what's happening. But what a lot of people are saying is there's enough bad officers that aren't being reported, which shows there's a systematic flaw.
No, for sure. I believe
and,
that fully, yeah.
what is factual is that the officers that do things that are incredibly unjust, I think, I'm not going to give you a percentage, but a large majority of them not only aren't sentenced, but don't go to trial. So what it's showing is there's solidarity within the forces to not tell on bad apples and to not ensure those bad apples are
thin blue
held
line.
accountable.
Yeah.
And that is a problem, though. There needs to be accountability.
But
and
it's also a problem within their groups. There's a lot of officers that thin blue line really doesn't work for them, whether they're, you know, a minority themselves and they have to deal with you know, racism within the thing, whether there's somebody that sees that certain things and then they want to speak out, or just whether they're like, no, you have to have accountability, period.
Well, and I think if you guys haven't seen what happened in Buffalo with the officer who pushed the elderly man, two of them, and so
great story. I would love to talk about this.
So, and I'm not saying I
Unbiased,
agree or disagree, but what happened is, I'm just telling you the way people feel, essentially. But what happened was they pushed an elderly man who was approaching police as they were telling him to back up. So
and went looked like he tried to grab one of their weapons.
So actually, he had a riot helmet in his hand, a police riot helmet,
and not wearing it.
Yeah. So, but it looked like he was attempting to give it to them, but I wasn't there. I can't hear the audio. He could have been talking shit for all I know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he was told to move back, and two officers pushed him. From my opinion, it wasn't a hard shove.
No.
But the guy was like 90.
But he was an old man. He was like 75. Yeah, he's frail. So, and I'm not gonna definitely not naming names, but I was speaking to an officer about this, and he was very unsure because he's like, you know, I told him, I was like, I didn't think it was that hard of a shove, and he was the one who said, but he is an elderly man, and I said that's definitively true, and the man cracked his head open, sadly. And the two officers did he die? No, but I hear he's just now in stable condition, but that could be wrong. I'm not keeping too up to date with it. But what I have seen is that 57 officers in this task force that they were in resigned from their positions. They're still a part of the police force in Buffalo. Some people are taking it way out of hand and thinking they just completely quit on the city, which isn't what happened. They resigned from the emergency task force, and not only that, those two officers appeared in court. I don't know if that man's pressing charges or if they're just in court for other reasons, whether the state's looking at them. They appeared in court, and the 57 officers, or a large portion of them, showed up and applauded them, right? Which, for all I know, there's something we're missing, and that man could have done something terrible.
Here's what I've kind of heard in the background for along that line is that you got to remember that officers are trained. When you have officers that are constantly trained not to think when it has to do with your weapon, okay? And whether that guy was trying to hand something to him or not, he was in the vicinity of the officer's weapon.
Yeah.
And from what it looked like for me, and I haven't seen it a lot, but it looked like the first officer that he went to go do this to was kind of like didn't want to do anything, and the officer behind him was like
stepped up.
Was like, no, you can't have, and kind of made him push him.
Yeah, well, and it almost looks like he was speaking to the officer. You never know. Like, and it almost looked like it was just discourse. But
you get so many different opinions. From that same video.
Especially when you can't hear the audio, right?
Exactly.
But what I'm getting at, though, with the fact that those 57 officers resigned and many of them applauded those other two officers when they were at court, showing support for them. From a lot of people's perspective, they're showing support for their comrades, right?
Yeah.
But from another perspective, it also almost looks like these specific officers are saying we will not stand for being held accountable. If you try and hold us accountable for these actions, we will resign, and then you'll see what it's like when you don't have us, right? Which, don't get me wrong, I'm just some dumbass who's seen this shit online, right?
We all are.
Yeah, we all are. And a lot of people are, armchair quarterbacking, talking about what's going on, and they're not actually out there seeing what's really happening, just like we are right now, essentially. But ultimately,
but this is a constructive conversation.
Yeah, we're trying
that's
to really,
what's important.
Exactly. Yeah. And again, I've said many times already that I think there's probably something that we don't know that they do know, which is why they're out there supporting them. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt.
There's always more of the story.
Yeah, I'm giving these officers the benefit of the doubt 100%. But the way it's being perceived by people is that they're saying we won't stand for being held accountable.
That's
the bottom line is that
the way it's being perceived.
What needs to be happening now, it needs to be happening so these people are held accountable.
I think so too. So, I think so too. Yeah.
It's something that is long overdue, right?
I don't understand, the inner workings of the police and this and that. Obviously,
Well, the bottom line is being a police officer is a very difficult,
job.
It's hard as
shitty
shit,
job.
yes. Mhm.
That's where I was going with before when I was saying
You're
I feel sorry for
100%
them.
right.
I believe they should be held accountable, but who wants to have that job?
No, I agree.
You know what I mean? Like that, and there's got to be a better system as far as I mean, it sucks because there should be a test for getting these police officers into these positions, but at the same time, a lot of these organizations are so desperate to hire them that they'll just take whoever. You know what I mean? So where do you go from that?
Not only that,
Like they're trying to hire police officers.
Yes.
They'll take anybody. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like there should be some type of like what kind of person is this? You know what I mean? Like what
Yes.
kind of guy is he? But they don't have time for that because
Yeah.
they need police officers so bad, and because of that, we fucking have brutality fucking been going on that's been long overdue.
I don't know if it's a solution, but I think it's something that would definitely help. If and I've seen there's been some rumblings about this in certain police area, like in their cities where police are talking about this. But there has to be some type of pushback for any time that a police officer turns off his body camera.
I agree. Especially because there's a big case
Yes.
going on in Arizona with that. Sorry. to
And
interrupt you.
you're
For sure,
100%
yeah.
right. That should always be on. And the second that that it's known that an officer turns it off, there should be major accountability, things that happen.
I agree.
And not just to the officers.
Gross.
Sorry. Because it was gross. But not only that, it should those officers, manager or chief should also be held accountable for that. It should be the people that are above them are held accountable for that too. You know what I mean? Because that needs to be pushed. So if we can figure out a way that those cameras are, because they're such a big deal, and like you said, there's always something that could have happened that we didn't see.
Yeah.
It needs to be for the person, like the victim.
And the police
Or not
too.
the victim, but yeah, and the police. Yeah,
And
yeah.
like some of these officers might be in the right, and we don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, you're right.
So if anything, to help the police officers too.
Yeah,
let's
I
help
agree.
give them a better
It's
name.
2020. Everyone
Yeah.
should have a fucking police
Everyone.
cam.
Yep.
It's not. It
Yeah.
doesn't seem that expensive
No,
anymore to have a
fuck
little
no.
fucking camera right there and a little
Well,
hard drive.
and especially if they can be, and I'm not saying it's a terrible thing, but especially with how militarized you are seeing some departments, they should be able to have a camera. And again, I want to reiterate that Phoenix PD has been fantastic.
No, for sure.
Every
Yeah.
day
No.
I've been out there, they've been great. And for the people that did what they did in Scottsdale, those people should have been dealt with harshly, whether they were or not. They should have been. So
Well,
I
you
know
know
the
what? I was
protesters
looking
are out
at a
in
bunch of
Scottsdale
mugshots earlier
but
today.
I'm not talking about them.
A lot of them in Scottsdale are being charged. And
Yeah,
shit.
I know.
saw a
I know.
mugshot.
Jakey Polly was charged.
Yeah.
Thank fucking God.
There's
That
a
asshole.
argument of whether he should be or not, but the bottom line is he was in the mall trespassing.
That's
you know what I
trespassing,
mean?
yeah.
So that is fucking trespassing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not for the
And
fucking law, but
this
he did
asshole
break
tried
it.
to say he spent his day protesting, which is bullshit.
Yeah.
I wasn't there that day, but not one person from downtown Phoenix was like, "Oh, I saw Jake Paul today." But everyone in Scottsdale was like, "I fucking saw Jake Paul tonight." He didn't have any footage of him being in Phoenix. The protest was in Phoenix.
Yeah, no shit.
Not only that, I'm going to be honest, and I should have reported this, but I thought it was fake. I saw online someone share something like, "What the fuck is this?" Which people were saying, "Let's go to Scottsdale Fashion Square tonight, and I don't give a fuck if you protest. I don't give a fuck if you loot. Let's do this shit." And I bet you $20, either him or someone he was with saw
Created
that
that?
fucking, well, not created, but saw it, and were like, "Yo, let's go get some fucking dope footage for our YouTube
Oh, for
channel,
sure,
bros."
They're
'Cause
trying to
that's what they're
monetize
about.
that. They're
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to monetize
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
He's got a guy around with a big camera, so with the better footage than what we've been seeing for
Yep,
sure.
yep,
but
well-
that we'll probably never see. You probably won't release
Yeah,
it. now.
they're probably deleting it in mass. I
Yeah.
guarantee he's got a PR team that's like, "What the fuck are you doing? Get rid of this shit."
Logan's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, well, and you know what? I'm not.
Like, I fucking
mean,
found a dead body. What are you doing?
I'm not a big fan of the Paul brothers. They can do what they want, though. I'm not going to sit here and trash on them. But Logan Paul made a pretty solid statement the other day on the whole thing, not regarding his brother,
I watched
regarding
that.
everything.
Yeah.
It went pretty viral. Good for him if he's grown up. It could be a PR move, but I think he was pretty passionate about it, which makes me think he was
I will
serious.
say this. I didn't know much about that Logan Paul guy until he started doing. I guess he recently started doing like an actual
Podcast,
podcast.
yeah.
So I watched some of those episodes, and I gotta admit, like I've heard about all the bullshit, but he was young. He's a kid.
Yeah.
And it seems like he's starting to grow up, and he's around some good people. Hopefully, he can do the same for his
This
brother.
is Logan, by the way.
Yeah, we're talking about
Yeah,
Logan,
no, yeah.
not Jake.
The dude who filmed the body in Japan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
poor dude. Like that. Like I feel bad for him. Like he made such a bad mistake, but he's learned from it. That's
Yeah.
the important thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Learn from your mistakes.
I just say thank you, Andrew, for going out there and documenting it, just like as one of us, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
and
I appreciate
highlighting the Phoenix police, highlighting the people protesting peacefully, because the news just takes this fucking narrative, man, and it looks like the whole fucking world's on fire.
Well,
right
and-
now.
and you gotta
don't
think
get me
about
wrong,
it.
the movement's huge and shit, and the
mhm.
riots are fucking crazy and
Yeah.
wrong, but we need to know about the peaceful shit, you know.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and it's not like I'm pretending to be some fucking hero or not. I'm just out there taking.
No, I
pictures.
know.
Yeah.
No, I know, and I know you're not saying that, but I've seen
But we
some
need that.
journalists pretend it's like D-Day a little bit, and it's
We need
not.
someone who's going out there that's not a journalist. Is what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
well,
you're
but-
just taking it as a fucking artist and putting him up.
Yeah.
And saying, hey, take what you want from these
Yeah.
pictures. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Although I will admit I've seen some, I don't want to call them attacks, but forceful use against the media, which has been jarring for me because this isn't, from what I've seen.
You
there
mean
have
when
been-
they're out there, like people?
Yeah, people. Well, no,
Cops.
well, so from both sides, but largely, don't get me wrong, both sides,
Yeah.
and I don't mean to label it as sides,
Yeah.
but it's just the easiest way
Yeah.
to do it. So I've seen some protesters get pissed and misinterpret what journalists are saying and take phones out of their hands and shit. So, but that's a small minority, and
Well, you're always
and-
gonna have knuckleheads.
yeah,
dude.
yeah. Well, and just like a small minority of, I think some officers have taken some extreme measures against the media as well when it comes to, I mean, the guy on CNN that got
Exactly,
arrested.
yeah.
There's been media. There's one that's really awful with the media guy laying on the ground showing his media pass. He's out after curfew. He's like, a media. Cops are walking around him. And then one guy walks by him and fucking maces him after he said like 10 times, I'm media. So, and there's a lot of examples of that, particularly the Australian crew in DC, what happened in Lafayette Park.
Yeah.
And
I don't
like,
know if I know about that one.
did you see the thing about POTUS getting a picture in front of the church
Oh, yeah,
with the
yeah,
Bible?
yeah.
So some people think that people are upset about him taking a picture in front of a church, which isn't the case. There's a big argument going on as to whether these people were tear gassed or not. And by the way, I'm not just saying this. I was watching the live stream of that protest when it happened. I swear to God, right time, right place on the internet for me, essentially. But I mean, there's very strong evidence that these peaceful protesters were tear gassed. They were shot with rubber bullets. They were flashbanged, and it wasn't by Metropolitan PD. It was a separate unit, and I don't know if they're necessarily DC police. I know it wasn't them though. They were kind of blindsided
I think
by what
I've
happened.
heard it's like a prison. It's
Actually,
one,
I think you're right.
yeah, it's
Yep. Riot control for
Riot
prisons.
control.
Well,
from
are you
prisons.
talking about the ones that aren't even wearing insignias?
Yeah,
and badges
riot
and shit?
control
Yeah,
from prisons.
yeah.
They
And
don't
what
really.
hap-
It's
that's
because
who they
they're
are? I thought they just
the
didn't
reason
know.
why though. People understand this. It's not because like some crazy.
They're stormtroopers.
Yeah, they're stormtroopers. It's because
There's a guy
they're
I saw this
trained.
really quick. He was playing as they were walking by. He had a horn. It's all
Imperial
dun,
March.
dun, dun,
Dun,
dun.
dun,
They're so
dun.
fucking
Dude,
funny, bro.
really quick, I got a
Sorry.
picture, the best picket sign I've seen. I got a picture of a dude with the character from Rogue One, and it just says hope in her face. And I just laughed my ass off when I saw that sign. Anyway, I'm sorry, continue.
Fuck, what was I saying?
The badges being covered in
right,
DC.
yeah.
And the
They're riot
control.
control police from prison systems, and the reason why is because if you're in a situation where you need somebody to know how to handle something, you want them trained. And
Yeah.
guess who's best trained to deal with riot control?
Prisons, yeah.
Yep.
Prison teams.
I agree with that, but so the
get, like,
fundamental
time and a half for that?
problem of what happened
Is
though
no
was
tags.
that, well, no, not only that, in this situation they were peaceful protesters marching down the street. Again, I was watching the live stream. The live stream was from the middle of the pack, so maybe I'm missing something of the front.
Oh no,
right?
I'm just talking about who they were.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they could. Those guys could have been wrong if they did that shit.
I
Fuck
thought
them.
it
Yeah.
meant more
Yeah.
so to like
Well-
so they can't be targeted either, like later on. Or
I mean, that very
you know,
well could be
ID.
because people are getting
be.
doxxed on the internet for
That's what I'm
saying dumb
saying.
shit. I mean, it's pretty wild. I don't agree with doxing in any scenario
Any form.
whatsoever.
Fuck no.
None.
But ultimately what happened in Lafayette was they were peaceful protesters. They were supposedly tear gassed. It looks like that's the case. They were shot with rubber bullets. They were met with extreme force. There was an Australian newscast. It was broadcasting live on Channel 7 in Australia. And on camera, a fucking riot control guy runs in, hits the camera operator with the shield, and then punches him in the fucking face while it's broadcasting live on Australia.
Can you still see this now?
Oh yeah, look it up. Look it up. The
gotta get
Australian
your
Prime
shit
Minister
hooked
is calling. The Australian Prime Minister is actually calling for an investigation within the Australian embassy. Right. So the point of me being upset about this was, complaints have came out from that the leader of whatever that riot control group was saying they were throwing rocks, which everything I've seen, that's not true. But again, I was seeing from the middle of the pack. Yeah. And what's convenient about that was I had watched this live stream for an hour. It was entirely peaceful. 5 minutes after they broke that group up, Trump and POTUS, I'm just going to call him for now, and Secret Service came out and they marched down to that church so he could get essentially a propaganda film. And it's disgusting to me that he used excessive force to get down there on these peaceful protesters. And people think you're upset about a picture. And what I'm upset about is, my opinion, that was a clear infringement on the First Amendment, on peaceful assembly, on freedom of media or free press, because they went after this media group. And even the Australian media said they were tear gassed. This is live right after it happened. So that's scary to me. That's a really authoritarian move. It's really strong, man.
Seems like it's headed
Stupid
that way.
move.
Yeah,
and
it was a dumb
and
move.
that's where it's going to start in Washington.
Yeah, well, and especially because, I mean, Lafayette Park is like a historic place for protests. Like, there's protests every year in Lafayette Park. It's right in front of the White House. Yeah, it's constantly happening. So everything from I've seen, they were peaceful and they were met with brutal force so Trump can make a propaganda film. POTUS, I'm sorry, I'm trying not to. Anyway, so President Trump, at least I'll be respectful enough to, call him what he is. So that's nerve-wracking to me. And again, I don't want to get too much into the politics of everything going on, but in my opinion, that was a clear attack on the First Amendment, and I find that scary.
Yep.
Scary.
And I think the majority of the people that know that story feel the same way.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, the main reason I'm talking about it is a lot of people are like, why are you mad about the picture? And they'll post like Biden and Clinton taking a picture in front of it.
Yeah,
and
it's
like,
not
no,
about the picture.
You don't know the story. It really, and I know, although, so a reverend for that church came out and said he was tear gassed as well. Yeah. So there's a lot
fucking wild time.
It's wild. It is. And like I said, the main reason I'm out there taking photos is because it is historical, and I'm a fucking history nerd. Anyone that knows me,
from now, when you're looking back at that, you're like, holy shit, I was in this.
Yeah.
I fucking took these.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
gonna be fucking cool.
Yeah. And I mean, even someone the other day, I thanked them for passing out waters, and she was like, thank you for recording history. And I was like, oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
But realistically, I'm just trying to.
And 100%, honestly, I can say fuck anybody out there who's trying to cause any type of violence at all.
Agreed.
Fuck anybody out there who's causing damage to any businesses at all.
Those are the people that need to be met with
businesses.
excessive force,
Yes.
not the protesters.
Exactly.
And here's some of the great stuff is you've seen times where those people are out there, the antagonists are out there, and the protesters will literally grab those people and walk them over to the cops, hand them to the cops. The cops are like, cool, thank you, and grab those people, and they work together. That is shit we need more of.
I agree 100%.
So maybe to kind of turn it back into film, like, is it possible to get drone footage out there?
So I was thinking about it because I just got a drone, but I haven't. Not only have I not used it enough,
I didn't know if maybe like the city would have, because don't they put air
so
restrictions
there are
sometimes
drones
on things?
flying over us like the whole time, but I think
that'd be so weird to fucking
protest.
Dude. But it's such a weird time, is what I'm saying.
Right?
And then fucking drones.
Yep, but I actually think those were police drones that were out there. And I don't have. If you're
they gotta be filming.
Oh yeah, of course they want to see what's going on in the back of the pack and shit like that. And I get that.
There's
100%.
nothing better than fucking drone footage, especially of fucking large groups and shit.
Right. And so I thought about it, but I also, if you're gonna fly it in like a public place like that, you have to have a license, especially when there's police around everywhere. You have to have a pilot lice of some sort.
For your drone?
Yeah, for a drone. Yeah, I don't get me wrong, it's not like a pilot license to like fly a fucking commercial Boeing, but you need to have some sort of license for it.
And you have to sign up with them and register your drone and all that.
Because it has to show up on like their radar, or at least
You'll get in trouble.
I'm not sure.
It's kind of like flying in a certain airspace type deal.
So for example, I was on a shoot for it was in a park. I was actually playing Jesus and shit. And it was like a marathon race, and anyway, they had a drone shot, and they were trying to get the drone up for like fucking an hour and a half. They could not figure out why they couldn't get the drone up. And finally, the drone operator went on his phone and he goes, "Shit, Trump's in town," and they just shut off all the drones, and you know what I mean, because he was
That's
town.
wild.
And we had to fucking like we had to reshoot the next day, and the director's all stressing, like asking the actors, like, "Can you come back tomorrow?" and this and that.
I didn't know they had like the capability to
Yeah.
do that though.
Yes.
That's crazy.
You have to sign up with them and give
That's
them
what I'm
that.
saying.
So they
Right.
just like shut access to your drone off for
Yeah.
the day. That's crazy.
So like,
Yeah.
so if you're a drone operator, just as like in the film world, when you're going out to shoot, check the next day, like
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah, make sure there
because-
isn't something- yeah.
exactly because
Well,
that was a lesson learned.
I shouldn't say that definitively that's what happens. I think that's what happens. Somebody's probably going to write in the comments what really happens.
What do you mean as far as
like they actually do? You have to register with them and give them the ability to shut your shit off in order to fly legally. I don't
funny
know
if you
that's
have
the
like
case.
if you don't, and then like you're flying your drone, it's illegal. Like it just gets shot out of the sky.
Dude, there's gonna be more because there's
By
gonna be
another
people
drone?
that hate fucking the drones. They think it's totally infringing on their private rights.
Yeah.
You know, and
You
there's gonna
can't
be
tan
more.
nude in your backyard anymore. I mean, without worrying about a neighbor's
Dude,
drone.
that's sad. That's sad.
Seriously.
You know why that's sad? Because how many of us
because
young
you tune
men
nude in the backyard all the
how
time.
many of us young men had remembered walking in on like one of their friend's sisters or somebody doing that? That was fucking awesome back in the day.
Never happening again. This new
Never
generation,
happening again.
New generation will never get to see their friends' older sisters' titties.
Yeah.
Pretty sure South Park did an episode on this, by the way.
All the drones?
Yeah, the
Oh,
drones
yeah,
and
that's a
catching
great
people.
episode,
Yeah. By the way, I just want to take a moment to appreciate the fact that you played Jesus and Charlie Manson. That's
Oh, yeah,
fucking
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because normally I would always just play a bad guy. I guess I look like a lot of bad guys too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just
kind of got
for
a
the-
biker vibe, I
Well,
guess.
it was when I had the
It's
long
not
hair.
that bikers are bad guys, but
It was when I had the long hair and the beard and shit. I was just drug dealer, fucking bad guy. But then finally I got Jesus. I'm like, that's as good as it gets.
yeah,
You know
that's,
what I mean? If I
that's
play a good guy-
literally as good as it gets.
Yeah,
That's
so-
fucking funny.
Yeah.
That's great.
But yeah. So after AZTV, man, fucking, what have you been doing recently as far as?
Well, so I
'Cause
left.
you've been on all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty quiet lately because of everything going on with the pandemic before
Yeah.
that as well. But I mean, the
All of us have.
Yeah, the beginning of this year was easily like the busiest start to a year I've had in a long time.
You did a
I worked,
feature, right?
No, but I went and worked on. I was signed on to work on or talking to work on, and it just died when the pandemic happened.
What was that
essentially.
golf one though?
Oh, Dream. Yeah,
Was that last year?
that was last
I'm
year.
sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
so
sorry.
that was the film I worked on when I left AZTV to go work because I had taken so much time off of AZTV from not feeling good. I was still at the apartment at the time, and I felt it was unfair for me to be like, hey, I know I've taken an incredible amount of time off over the
Can I
next
do a
couple months,
feature?
but I'm gonna leave for like 3 weeks to work on a feature. So I basically gave them a 2-week notice, and I told them that was why, and I was like, it's unfair of me to, you know, take all this time off and be like, hey, by the way, I'm gonna go work on a movie piece. I'll be back in a couple weeks. So I was like, fuck it. If you guys just want to hire someone new, I get it. You know what I mean? I want to go focus on this stuff anyway. I need, because, you know, I had learned a lot from AZTV and there was a lot more I could have learned, but I felt like I was running a little bit thin on that and I wanted to get back into the field and do more commercials and films. So
What was your role on that feature?
I was actually, I went in and applied as the second AD, and since I didn't have a lot of AD experience, and I'd especially not worked as an AD on a feature, they decided to give me the PM gig, production manager, because I knew the writer, and she wanted me working on that.
The writer is Lisa. Yeah.
Yep, Lisa.
I met Lisa.
Yeah, great person. She's
Yeah.
awesome. So
I actually don't know what that role is.
production manager just essentially. See, honestly, when I got the job, I had no fucking clue.
I love that.
I had
brother.
Just
no
really fast for
fucking
people
clue.
who don't know what
Total-
ADs are. That's assistant directors.
Yeah.
They're the person who.
Yeah, so there's assistant director, there's a second AD, and then there's either a third AD or a second AD. Film names are fucking weird for positions.
the
but
AD
so-
is the person who gets to act like the asshole on set, so the
Yeah,
director doesn't have to.
It's kind of the heart attack job. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's ensuring that everyone's on schedule and not doing stupid shit and making handling the actual, I don't want to say business side, but the
just keeping things fucking
keeping
going.
things going.
Yeah.
And yeah, and as a second AD, you're in charge of scheduling people. And so as a production manager though, I was also in charge of making sure things were set up at the set, and it's kind of hard to explain, kind of being in charge of. It's hard to explain because it was a small production. So ultimately what happened, within 2 days, I was promoted to second AD. So I got the job. So within 2 days, I was working largely as a second AD and a little bit as the PM. So you're working with the producers to help get things done. And I was helping schedule actors. And then I was also had all the PAs working under me. So I was trying to make sure they were kind of on their game. So there was a lot involved with that
Do
job.
you make the call sheets?
Yeah, I made the call sheets.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So they make the call sheets.
It was a little rough though, because so with the call sheets, I had to get clearance from one of the producers, which one of the producers was working on set the whole time, so I wouldn't be able to get these call sheets out until like 8 o'clock, sometimes 9.
That's a standard procedure, bro.
was-
You know how many times an actor
but-
are waiting for your fucking call sheet, and I'm
mean,
like, motherfucker.
I feel
and
like
get
standard
11 p.m.,
procedures to
and
get
then
it
you have
out
to
at
be there
5. Yeah, that's when I want to get it out at 5 p.m.
As an
What's
actor,
a call sheet?
I'm glad you asked that because
Thank
I
you.
wanted to explain that, but I thought maybe I didn't want to
Yeah.
sound like it's just what you get usually the day or so before the set that says all the actors and all the roles of everyone on the production, the times they need to be there, the scenes that they're in, the temperature of the day, the closest hospital, fucking when catering, who catering is, fucking
All the important shit an actor needs before they're on set, and crew as well. Yeah. So you're in charge of telling everyone who's going to be there that day. Yeah. What time? What
so your call
location.
time, you need to be in makeup by 8 a.m. You're going to be on set by 9, and then your scene's at 10. And then your scene's from 10 to 12, and then you might have another scene, and then it'll say, oh, in this scene you actually have a dress change. You know, it's just the whole plan for the day of the shot list, the scenes. As an actor, you'll have a number by your name, and then each scene, if your number's by that scene, you're in that scene. So you can kind of plan out your day, like, oh, I'm shooting, you know, I got a scene in the morning, I got a scene, oh shit, I'm shooting all day. You can kind of plan your day out. But what I was joking with him is he was talking about, you know, he felt shitty for getting him out so late. That's standard procedure. They'll tell you, yeah, we'll send you the call sheet a couple days before. It's the day before the shoot. It's like 10 p.m.
You got to be up at fucking 4 to drive an hour.
5, yeah. And they're like, this is one of your bring your own wardrobe ones too, so you don't have time to get anything.
Yeah.
So fucking you get the call sheet at 11 p.m. and then there's been times where like I wake up at 4 and still haven't got it, and then finally get him. Shit, fuck, I gotta be there in 45 fucking minutes.
Jesus.
And then but that's just, I don't know, I guess that's the life of
Yeah.
but the thing is, I couldn't imagine how stressful it is putting one of those call sheets together because there's so much fucking planning and shit.
Well, and I feel so bad for a particular actress who, like, I left her name off once or twice and she knew she had to be in. I don't know what was happening. Like, she just wouldn't receive these emails because I was also going through a PA who would send them out because he had a laptop and I never had a laptop on me at the time because it was going through issues. So anyway, so it was literally like this fucking chain of command to get this fucking call sheet out. It was brutal. And not only that, I'm still doing the PM work. And I'm also still technically working as like a second AD as well. So essentially first AD is like set manager, right? Make sure everything's on track and people are, you know, being good. And also you're managing the director, making sure, and the cinematographer, making sure they're not getting 100 shots because you know you need to move on because you're running low on time.
He even
right?
kind of keeps the director in
Yeah,
line.
yeah. As much as you can. You don't want to step on a director's toes, but as much as you can. And
But
then
at one point it's like, you got the shot. Dude.
Yeah, yeah. And then the second AD is more in charge of like getting call sheets out and making sure everything's prepared. And then the second or third, a lot of the times is like a talent manager in the sense of like, okay, this actor needs to be in hair and makeup right now. Second AD, you go make sure they're in there. This actor needs to be on set in about 20 minutes. You walk their asses to set, right? That's how oftentimes you'll be talked to. So that's what you have to do. So I was kind of handling all of those positions, and yeah, it was wild. It was a heart attack, definitively. I was sleeping like 3 hours a night because we had the shoot schedule done, but we compressed the shoot dates as time went on because we didn't have certain locations for a certain amount of time. So it had to be completely rearranged. What's that? Cannabis cough. Thank you. So the shoot schedule had to be completely rearranged. And for those of you who don't know, a shoot schedule is so a director or like a DP can look at it and be like, okay, we're shooting this scene at this time, or supposedly this time, this scene. Okay, these are the scenes we're doing today. Great. So anyway, so I would have to like.
And most people don't know that. That's never shot in order. It's shot in like whatever location you can get.
Yeah, whatever location you're at that day and whatever time actors can get in. Because oftentimes an actor will be like, oh, I know I'm in this scene, but I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to be available till like 3 or whatever. So you have to make sure you schedule that for that day. And then another shitty thing sometimes people will do is like, Keith, you're on a film, you only have 2 scenes. We're shooting 6 scenes this day. I'm going to schedule you for the first scene at 8 a.m. and then I'm going to schedule for the last scene at 6 a.m. or 6 p.m., right? So you want to try and make sure you're also getting it to where if an actor's in the morning, we're going to knock all his scenes out or her scenes out, get them wrapped. Yeah, so there's a structure to it.
Do you sit down with like the director, the AD, and make that list? And like, there's got to be like a big color coded all kinds of
Well, I say
craziness.
that, I guess the
a lot
director
of
would-
the times you do. Yeah,
The
not
director
every
would probably
time,
make
though,
the
but a lot
shot
of the
list
time.
first, right? And then
Yeah,
kinda give it
usually
to
the
you?
director will make a shot list. Yeah, although like I didn't have the luxury of that on this particular shoot, so I would, like I said, we were restructuring it. So I would work all day on set, get the call sheet out, go home, work on the next day's shoot schedule for about 2-3 hours, and then go to bed. Have fucking anxiety because of everything going on. Because, like I said, I was throwing up every morning at this time.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
this is in the
Fuck.
middle of that. So
I thought you meant just because of the shit.
no, sleep for like 3 fucking hours. Go back, and this is for like 2-3 weeks, and it was gnarly. I
That's
was
what I was
like,
gonna
yo,
ask
if I
you
can make
the-
it through this shoot, I can make it through just about fucking anything.
It was just like
And
3 weeks in a row?
it was about 2.5 weeks, I believe.
Okay.
We really compressed this shoot. It was supposed to be almost a month, and we compressed it a lot.
That's
yeah.
a great way to put it. If I can get through this shit, I can get through anything. That's
Yeah.
how you fucking.
That was
you know,
the
it's like- it's a
driving.
major learning experience. Like, how do you handle pressure?
Yep.
Learning what to do. There's a different mindset with some people that like they enjoy those things because it's a learning experience and you know how much you're going to gain through it, and you're like, yeah, you don't want to have to go. You don't want to
That's what
go
you do
through
when
it all
you
the
love
time.
it.
Yes. Perfect. That's exactly
When you love
what
it, you'll
is.
put your dude. Because fuck, I would take the Greyhound to fucking L.A. It smells like a fucking butthole. Sleep on my friend's shitty couch. Fucking, you know what I mean? Like when you love it, man, you'll do some fucking crazy ass shit. And
Yeah.
Just to get through it, and then you like reflect on it, and you know you're like, wow, that was a good experience. You know, and it just even makes you a better person.
Yes.
Not even just with the
Yes.
skill that you're having, like, you know, to fucking
Just to have that mindset. You're teaching yourself to have that mindset. Like, there's things you're gonna have to overcome every day, multiple times. So just get used to it.
'Cause
Well-
even when you're doing the things you love, or like, you know, everyone wants to do the thing they love as their job every day, there's going to be parts that sucks too.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Well, and also with that, what was great was I have a lot of like on-set experience from camera opping and grip and gaffing and shit like that. So I know what it's like to be on the hustle on set. I don't know as much what it's like to hustle as a producer.
Oh, behind the
and
scenes.
behind the scenes
Mhm.
shit. So it was really good for me to see how the producers operate and work for that film. And, you know, and you can always learn what to and what not to do, in your opinion, right? Like when I'm watching a director that I'm working with, oftentimes that's what I'm taking in is what do I think and it's not to be like, oh, this director fucking sucks,
No,
right?
I
It's
know
not like
exactly
that.
what you're
It's
talking about, bro.
what would I do differently to get this done better? And what is this person doing that's fantastic that I want to take and add to my arsenal of, you know, ideas or ways I work? So that was what was great about it was I was working with the director. Basically, I always work with the DP because I'm always lighting and whatever. So at this point, I could really work with the director and see how he functioned and the producers and shit like that. So yeah, it was cool to be able to do that definitively because most of the AD work I did was on short films. I'm first ADing my first feature in Chicago, hopefully by the end of this year, depending on everything going on. We'll see. So that will be cool. That'll be my first time going out of state to work on a production as well. So there's a lot of stress with that, but
What's your
Excuse me,
favorite role
it'll be
on a
interesting.
set?
oh shit.
Because I know you write scripts and like I feel like you have aspirations to direct.
Yes, yeah, but you know I haven't done it enough to be like that's definitively my favorite thing. You know what I mean? So I mean, I'm most comfortable with like lighting with any grip or gaffing work, pretty much. Like I did a shoot in Baghdad, Arizona for Discovery AZ this year.
There's
as
a
grip.
Baghdad, Arizona.
There's a Baghdad, Arizona.
A
Yeah.
lot of shit shot out there, right?
Yeah, well, you know, a good amount, but it's because there's a big copper mine out there, and they were doing a segment on copper mines and
Which
inclusivity
what
and shit
direction
like
is
that. What's that?
Which direction?
North, actually north. It's
North?
it's up on your way to like Prescott, except you divert kind of towards Nevada. You head west a little bit once you get pretty close to Prescott, and
It's got like a foresty terrain.
it's almost no, it's still more
I think of
deserty.
Baghdad. I just think of desert.
Right. It's still more deserty, but it's a little more lush than being in the valley, I guess, and
Yeah.
being like, you know, by the Sonoran Desert. It's a little more lush than that, but it's still very deserty. Yeah, it's just like a big copper mine town, and yeah, it was cool. It was fun. It was fun.
I know. I look forward to your directorial debut, man, because you have a very you have a director's mind just from the scripts I've read.
Yeah.
You have actually some of the best scripts I have ever read. Actually, from
I
here
appreciate
from Phoenix.
that.
I'm being completely honest as far as like just getting fully immersed into it and getting lost into it without like, you know, starting like judging the script, you know what I mean? Because it sucks. Does that make sense?
No,
'Cause
I get
there
that.
are-
I get
there's-
that. Well, and what I try and do from a writing perspective is like one of the main writing, like, I don't want to say, I guess, niches is you don't, unless you know you're fucking directing this, but even then I try to avoid doing this because it pulls you out of the script, is you don't write in wide angle here. You know what I mean? That's a shooting script.
I know. I did that with my first script,
it
and
happens,
then I said it to an LA buddy who's like really involved in writing scripts in that script world, and he told me to take all of that out and
Yeah.
keep it present tense and,
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
change the way I wrote my script.
Because what it is, it's not only that, like, I know it's good for you and you think other people to see, oh, this is how it's going to be done. But what it is people just want to read a story oftentimes and get hooked into it. And if you're constantly doing angles, it pulls them out of it. Reminds them. It's
I think it works for people who are in our world.
Yeah.
Because like as you know, as much as I love film, I'm just trying to describe how I see it, and
Yeah.
I want the person to read it how I see it. But
Yeah.
some people don't think like that. They're
Yeah.
like, "What the fuck is a wide angle? Or
Yeah.
what the fuck is this and that?"
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Well,
so
and
it makes sense.
So what I try to do is write the script in a way that suggests how it's going to be shot
Totally.
rather than tell you. So like in the Shanghai script, I did it probably the best in suggesting how to shoot it, but not actually telling you. And like an example would be like, dude's in the bathroom, he raises his gun, which is clearly going to be a shot that's a little bit wider because you have to see him raise the gun. Although you could do a close-up and just see a stock come up or something. And then, a tear drops from his eye, right? Which is kind of a weird line, but at the same time, that lets you know it's probably going to be a close-up to see that tear. You know what I mean? So I'd write it in a specific way and break up sentences in a way to allow you to know this is a different shot. This will probably be a wide angle, but you can come to that conclusion in your head. If you see it being shot differently, then you see it being shot
Totally.
differently. Oh, well, you know what I mean?
Ultimately, you already have it in your head how you're
Yeah.
going to shoot it.
Yeah, yeah, and like I know, but I'm having a hard time writing right now. It's weird. When I was going through that hard time in my apartment, I was fucking writing shit left and right. I was on it. Since I've been out, I've come up with a couple good ideas I really like, but I haven't been able to sit down and write. And even during the pandemic, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna bang out this script I've been thinking about for like a year now. Never got around to
Do
doing
you
it.
pull up the script program and write it, or like freehand, just like on a note?
So what
or-
I do is I freehand first, which is to ensure that I do at least 2 rewrites, which usually you want to do like 5 rewrites
for
at
sure,
least.
yeah.
But if you write it freehand, that ensures that when you put it into the computer, that's already a rewrite. Then you have to do another rewrite to ensure that, at least your fucking grammar and your spelling's correct. And then you should probably at least do 1 to 2 more rewrites just to make the script tighter and better. You know what I mean? It just forces me to look at it more. So, but right now, like I said, I'm getting a new laptop in like a week, so I'm stoked about that. But my laptop, I was neglectful of it, and I didn't update it as much, and it's a Mac, so like it won't support my writing software anymore. So that's another deterrent for writing right
damn.
now, is I'll just have it on paper and it will take too long for me to actually get it onto a laptop. So once I get that laptop, I assume I'll be writing more, because there's 2 ideas I've been really wanting to write lately, one short and one really low budget feature. So I hopefully as soon as I get that laptop, I will get into the mood to write again and start doing it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Any questions, McCoy?
I'm fucking pretty ripped over here right now, my friend.
You're totally good, bro. No, I love talking about this. Fuck, I had another film question. Well, I mean, as far as like you being a director, like I said, even being on late fees when we have problems with the scene or we have to rewrite. I remember on the short when you guys came up with the, like, you just have I could tell you have a director's mind and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So do you ever have a script that you think you're gonna actually try to put a team together and film?
Yeah, so one script I'm thinking about called Id, which is it's sort of Lovecraft inspired a little bit. I feel like inspiring shit by Lovecraft is super passé right now that everyone's trying to fucking do it. So it's a little more it's based on this manga writer named Junji Ito, who writes 2 stories in particular, one called Uzumaki, which is about like this town just becoming obsessed with this idea of a spiral. And every single one of them becomes obsessed with it in their own way, and it leads to them essentially becoming a spiral in some way. It's a really weird fucking story. And then another one that he wrote called The Enigma at the Yamagara Fault, which is about like this small town. There's an earthquake that happens because Japan's just plagued with earthquakes, obviously. They get a lot of them. And there's this big earthquake, and this fault line breaks off and from this mountain, and the townspeople are drawn to it, and they see that there's like these individual human-shaped holes in the mountain, and they find out that each hole fits a specific person from the town, and they become infatuated with their own hole, and next thing you know, they enter it and never come out, and they just become a part of this fucking mountain. So it is the idea of like mental fuckery with images and things like that. So even though that sounds probably nothing like the idea I came up with, I have this idea called Id, which is essentially about the moon, the visibility of the moon disappears from a small town. And it's how this small town kind of descends into madness without seeing the moon. And the analogy I've always thought about the Earth is that the Earth's made of like 70% water, and the human body's made of about 70% of water. I've always thought that was kind of a funny analogy.
That means we're this close to drowning.
Right? We're this fucking close, yeah.
That's a Stephen Wright joke, by the way.
Is it? Oh, there you go. I didn't even notice that. There you go. That's funny. But so no, you're good. So the analogy I used for the script largely though is like the Earth is the human body, the sun is like your consciousness, and then the moon is like your moral and emotional core, right? So I take that moon away from these people, and that emotional core is what supposedly correlates with it, and it sends people that are emotionally sensitive, right? You know what I mean? You know, as a sensitive person, sure, that's really intact with their inner selves. So the emotional people feel the disappearance of this moon like immediately, and it drives them into just sadness and despair, where people who are essentially sociopaths who don't have a lot of emotion, the only thing they can think of doing is taking advantage of the situation. How can I profit off of this? How can I make money
kind of like what's going on right fucking now?
And you know what? And I came up with this idea and wrote the outline just before the coronavirus.
Oh, damn.
And I felt it was so parallel to it in many ways. Yeah. And without spoiling it, essentially, it takes place over the span of like 3 days. You follow one main character, and it's almost like a vignette. So every day it's him in downtown, which I want to shoot in Gilbert because it's supposed to be a small town. You've ever been in downtown Gilbert? It looks like a small town downtown hub. So essentially it's him 3 days in a row walking the same path home. And each day the people around him are changing a little bit more than him. And there's less people in downtown each day. More and more of them are looking towards this guy and emotionally just fucked. And it leads to him doing something that's really crazy that no one would really do in real life. But again, I've taken the emotional kind of core away from them. And more people join in and essentially decide, fuck it, there's no point to live. And I'm just going to kind of leave it at that. And at the same time, there's this one asshole who's like, well, these people are doing something really specific, and I can go buy every tool they need to do it and sell it to them and make money off these people essentially fucking killing themselves. So that's kind of what it is. It's a weird, abstract idea, but I like it. Is this
a feature or a short?
Short. The problem is I want to keep it under 15 pages, and it's a little hard for me to do. And I have a strong media angle to it as well, where I want to try and rent the studio at AZTV and see if I can get a host down there or just an actor to play a host. And I'll have him because I find it funny. Anytime something happens, there's people on TV like, oh, it could be the fucking Russians. You know what I mean? Like, and don't get me wrong, the Russians are
the talking heads.
They're probably up to some sneaky shit. I'm not gonna lie. If you don't think they're loving what's happening right now, you're fucking wrong.
It's the fucking Chinese.
Yeah, but there's always that rumor of like, oh, it's
everything.
The fucking Russians or this could have happened. What's this gonna do to the tide? Shit, right? You know what I mean? So I have this thing where the media each day is throwing out a new thing, and I want to play that angle up a bit. So that would be a cool little short. I just need to keep it under 15 pages, and it's probably at about 20 right now, so I need to cut some shit from it. And the other idea I have, I just came up with it, and I'm actually going to pitch it to some friends in a couple days. It's called the Auteur, and have you guys ever, when you were younger, did you ever see Marble Hornets? It's this weird fucking ARG on YouTube. You know what that is? No. Mm-hmm. So ultimately, it was like the first Slender Man thing outside of the contest on Reddit. It's called Marble Hornets. And it was like these really young kids. I'm assuming they were like freshmen in film school. They created this thing where it's like an ARG, which means they tell a story through multiple different mediums. So they shoot videos on this main YouTube channel, which watches this one character kind of spiral into madness. And then at the same time, they have that character created a Twitter, and he'll post on his Twitter, feeling really off tonight, you know what I mean? Something's going on.
That's cool.
And then there's a secondary YouTube page where there's like the bad guys are also posting these cryptic messages, kind of fucking with the people who are posting the main videos.
That's fucking cool, dude.
Yeah, and so
that's cool as shit. I love that shit, man.
I don't necessarily want to do that. I don't want to make an ARG, but they had this cool idea where the kid was making a student project, and he's like spiraling as he's making this film. And I did have this kind of cool idea from a segment of it where, and this is really old, by the way, this has been out forever. I have this idea, though, of this director. We've all met a director who's a little fucking crazy, right?
Oh, for sure.
You know, we have at least.
Chad.
McClay, I know you're starting to work
kidding.
on some projects. Yeah, Chad's fucking wild.
No, I've met some fucking
you met some fucking crazy dudes, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you've probably met a couple people on set that are trying real hard to get with an actress, right?
Oh, for sure.
Once or twice, yeah.
So, I say all the time, I couldn't imagine being an actress with all these fucking creepy dudes in the industry.
Exactly, which is why I love my girlfriend to death, and I'm so happy I have one, because it totally gets rid of any awkwardness or attempts to flirt or anything. It's like a definitive hard no for me, no matter what. So that's a great restraint
Deterrent.
almost, and make sure that I'm not one of those fucking weirdos constantly trying to do that. But so I had this idea of like a director who's like a really weird fucking guy that largely just has a lot of money and wants to direct something really bad.
That's a lot of people too.
A lot of people too.
They're not even directors. They're just people with a lot of money who buy a camera.
Exactly. So, and that's essentially what this is. But he brings together a legit crew.
They do that too.
Yeah, and it literally this is what happens, people. And
This
so,
is Phoenix.
but ultimately, what happens is it'll start. This is Phoenix, yeah, exactly. It'll start
I'll
with
cut
the
that out.
like. No, you're good. I think it's funny.
I know I'm just playing.
It will start with like the audition process, and this director is just a dick to every actress that comes in, and then this one actress he's just fucking infatuated with, right? And it's the idea of a director
And she
completely
sucks.
right? Well, I think I'll have her.
She's
be
like,
pretty
okay.
good. Yeah, but he's.
But there's
more-
like 2 or 3 that killed it.
yeah, right, and he'll be total dicks to them, like a
Yeah.
Simon fucking Cowell
Yeah.
on steroids. But anyway, and ultimately he becomes obsessed with this actress, and it's the idea of a director like having control of someone's life, right? And the film will be shot through a bunch of different mediums, like it'll open on the audition tape. You know, you see those shitty footage of
But you could
people
actually from
auditioning.
the camera of the audition.
Yes,
That's cool.
and so
Yeah,
it'll
yeah.
start on that, and then as it moves on, it'll be through behind the scenes footage. It'll be from interviews. It'll be from actual footage on
A
the
film.
film.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like when after they cut, or like not cut, but a director steps in to give advice in the middle
Yeah,
of
that's
actually
genius.
rolling still. And then it will also, a large portion of it will be from his perspective.
Like creepy shit.
Being a fucking voyeur, and
Yeah,
basically
that's
what
fucking cool,
what
dude.
happens is over time is he basically, even though he keeps the funding for the film going, he basically abandons it and creates a snuff film of him following this girl. And since he writes the script, what I have is like this scene where it's initially
That's
just
creepy as
supposed to be
fuck.
like a date at the lead actor's house, right? But instead he changes it to be a sex scene, and that sex scene,
Everyone gets the call sheet.
right,
They're like, what?
right, and they're like, "What the fuck?" And he'll be like, "And we need to
Dude,
get this
I know a
POV
director
shot."
like this, bro.
You do? I told
Oh
you.
God,
Everyone's met
off
someone.
camera. I'm gonna.
No, you'll tell me. You'll fill me in.
Yeah.
No offense to directors out there. I know most
Not
of
every
you are
director is
fucking
like
chill.
this. Don't get me wrong.
There's just some crazy ones out there though. There's crazy people in every fucking profession though. Let's be honest. There's just more narcissists in our profession.
For sure.
For sure. But and that's not, don't not hire
The coolest,
me. I promise
honestly,
I'm cool.
the coolest people on sets are the crew.
Yeah, usually
I
the people who
fucking-
just love
I'm an
lighting
actor.
and shit.
Like I know that like we're douches and all the actors are. But I like. You're not really supposed to mingle or talk to the crew, but when I
Yeah.
can, I fucking. Because being in the sound and fucking music and things like that, I was like bullshitting with the boom operator and stuff like that. But fucking,
See, I get along with the boom guys a lot, dude. I always talk to boom guys. I don't know why. I just always
they're the
fucking,
coolest
yeah,
motherfuckers.
I just always
usually.
chill with audio. Yeah.
Boom guys are
Yeah.
like Jaybird.
Yeah, like Jaybird and
He's like the
fucking
coolest motherfucker.
my buddy Adam Hecht. He's fucking great too. Yeah,
Okay.
Jaybird, Adam, a couple other audio guys I really
There's
like.
this guy Kenny. I don't know if you know Kenny.
I'm not sure if I do, but I'm pretty sure I've
Yeah,
heard that name
yeah,
about
he's a
100
cool
times when it
fucking
comes to
dumb
audio.
motherfucker.
Yeah, but ultimately the point was though, like just a little sneak peek of what it would be like. He writes in this sex scene like out of
Oh
nowhere.
yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. And again, I'm not really giving that much away. I haven't come up with too much of it yet, but this is definitively going to make the cut. He comes up with the sex scene, and he is adamant to the cinematographer that it has to be a POV shot on her, right? And so the cinematographer is being very respectful of her in the scene and trying to not be invasive and get this POV shot of, which is a shot like the camera is supposed to be the male's eyes.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you
I
don't
get
know
it.
what a POV is, and so. And the cinematographer is getting great shots the whole time. The director keeps telling him, "You're fucking doing it wrong." And finally, the point that he wanted to do is be like, "You know what? Just give me the camera. I'll fucking do it." And then the director gets really just incredibly uncomfortable. Like it's really, really
Cringeworthy.
yeah.
type shit,
And clearly
dude.
he's
You know what really
enjoying
sucks
it
is that you're gonna have to
significant-
film that scene
I know.
somehow.
I know, but I'll just but
organize that.
right. And so whatever actress signs up for this, she's got to be down for some creepy shit. And so
Did you write this out already, or is this just an idea?
I have a base
Like a-
synopsis, like a 2
plot line?
paragraphs. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
but that's
yeah,
about
yeah.
it. So, but this is a
I like
scene
that,
that
dude.
I'm like, fuck yeah, this is gonna happen. And so the director will be really invasive, and he'll keep rewriting scenes to have her do more and more explicit shit. Which she'll fight back on. Of course, I'm not going to have her be entirely complicit, and other crew members will start to fight back as well. But ultimately, that's when the film becomes less about making his film and more about being a fucking creep on this chick.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm debating on having her be in a relationship and having him essentially do something awful to that partner. But I think
Like he breaks them up somehow
yeah,
without
yep.
knowing.
But I think it would be better if the lead actor and her start to form a relationship, and he becomes super fucking jealous of this lead actor and just fucking despises him for it. So
like
that's
a really hot guy.
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
yeah.
And he'll start writing him out of scenes and like So basically, it's the idea of a director having complete control over someone's life over the duration.
And
of
the thing
making
that's
film.
creepy is like they can do that if they wanted to. You know what I mean? Like, because everyone will just get the call sheet and be like, okay,
Well,
I guess we're doing this now.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and
Like,
I think the more real example though is certain directors who have taken advantage of children, which is a terrible fucking thing, and all of them deserve to be in fucking jail. Yep. I mean, there's a specific one who directed parts of Bohemian Rhapsody who deserves to be behind bars
Bryan
for the rest
Singer?
of his life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
I mean, the guy who did Jeepers Creepers, who did do his time, but still, I don't think
he should be allowed to.
What is
fucking
going on with Bryan Singer right now? Because I
he's
haven't
probably
followed up on
hiding
that.
out.
Yeah, he probably is.
He's
yeah.
laying low as fuck.
Because I know I think he like walked off of that movie. Someone else.
No, they
finished
kicked
that
his
movie.
ass
Yeah,
off,
I heard they
dude.
kicked him off.
Yeah, they
I know.
kicked him
I know.
off, yeah.
Dexter Fletcher came in and finished it, which I'm a big Dexter. He did Rocket Man. He directed that.
Yeah, okay.
Dude,
And if you've ever seen Band of Brothers,
I got to
he's in
talk about Rocket Man.
that. Rocket Man's great. Yeah,
You think it's great?
I like it. I don't think it's amazing,
I
but I
couldn't
like it.
fucking watch it, dude.
Really, that's interesting.
The first 10 minutes of it, I was like, so I was excited to watch it. I really like that lead actor. Like I was
Taron
like,
Egerton.
I was like, dude, this dude's taking
he's
a
badass.
fucking chance doing this shit.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I respected it. And I got a lot of respect for he put himself out there. I just could not watch it. It was
get that,
so
though.
cheesy.
I get that. Well, and I thought they definitely took a weird take to do like a biopic. It was more like a fantasy almost, right? But I mean,
the young kid shit was weird to me. Like,
Can I tell you
get
why I
that.
won't watch
I
it?
get
Is
that.
because I was so disappointed in Bohemian Rhapsody of how false it was. So
Yeah.
I watched the movie and I was like, oh shit, I felt like I learned all this shit. I did a huge deep dive. They changed so much fucking shit. Like none of that happened.
Just so it could be a cliche film. Like
Yeah,
they didn't change it for any
and
artistic
everyone's acting
value
like
or
it's this
anything.
great fucking. I mean, I guess if it was a different band, like it wasn't Queen, like maybe a fictional band, it would have been a great movie. But if it's fucking Queen, I don't understand how the members of Queen wouldn't be pissed. Like,
Yeah. Well, they were behind that production.
Well,
the whole fucking
that's what I'm
time.
saying.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact,
Brian May.
Sacha Baron Cohen was originally supposed to play him,
which would have been
and he was
sweet.
working on that movie for months.
Yeah.
But he couldn't end up seeing eye to eye with Queen because he wanted to show the fucking
The
darker,
hardcore
dirtier
shit. Which, although I
fucking-
do want to add, and I'm sorry to interrupt, Rami Malek did a fantastic
don't get me wrong,
job.
yeah, he's
He
good.
did
I like
great.
him as a
Yeah,
great.
he did
He's one of
great.
my favorite actors. Like we love him in Mr.
Oh yeah,
Robot
I'm
and
binging.
shit.
I'm binging Mr. Robot
Fuck yeah,
right
dude.
now.
That's what's happening right now too. That
exactly.
and fucking V for Vendetta. We were
and
talking
also
about that.
and also Watchmen though the
Watchmen.
TV series.
Oh,
There's a
yeah.
lot of parallels because it starts in fucking Tulsa, Oklahoma with Red Summer, which I've known about that for a long time, but we don't learn shit about that in school.
Oh, that riot.
The Red Summer
the
riots, which
yeah,
took
yeah.
place all over the United States, the attack on Black Wall Street, shit like that. So if you look at that show and Mr. Robot and V for Vendetta, it very much, especially with Anonymous coming out of the fucking
Oh, we were just talking
woodworks.
about
Yeah.
that. We were
Although
tripping out.
their rhetoric's kind of fucking crazy sometimes. Don't hack me, assholes. But, their rhetoric's a little crazy at times because they use certain verbiage.
It's
to,
just
to
crazy to-
warp how you see things. But still, they
Yes.
they do good some good shit. That's
yeah,
definitely illegal.
they're
but, yeah.
vigilante group.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Like, you
They're
know,
low
there's
It's just because it's so
facts.
many
Low
different
facts.
people,
and
maybe.
Yeah.
vigilantes aren't always bad.
Yeah.
I mean, the Punisher's pretty fucking cool.
The Punisher's pretty fucking cool. That's funny.
Well, before we wrap, do you have any good films that you've seen recently? Because like we're huge movie buffs and shit, or shows, and we're always looking for shit to watch.
Well,
man.
so really quick, when you were talking about not liking Rocket Man, that everyone likes, that's Mandy for me. I fucking hate Mandy. It's such a pretentious.
I
film.
didn't. I actually
It's so
turned that
lame.
movie off.
What's
Yeah.
Mandy?
It's
It's a Nick Cage movie where
I haven't.
It's the son of the guy who directed Tombstone directed it, and he.
Oh, I didn't
although
know that.
I'm gonna admit the cinematography in that film is fucking beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's one of the best shot films of that year, definitively. But it's just such a fucking stale. And don't get me wrong, it has style. I'm not saying it doesn't, but the story really isn't there for me. It's
I get
not.
that. I'm right where.
And
there
yeah,
with you, man.
it's fucking boring as shit, and it does this goofy ass thing where they take like Cenobite wannabes from like Hellraiser and put them on ATVs, and it's just so fucking goofy.
And it's
I just
disappointing though.
laughed
Weren't you
so
kind of
hard.
excited though for it?
Oh yeah, because everyone's like, dude,
Dude,
gotta
I was
see
so
Mandy.
excited
That
for
movie's
that,
fucking
and then I
great.
fucking put in. I tried so hard. I'm like, I'll give it 5 more
Yep.
minutes, and then they're like, fuck this.
Basically, all I see is the director fucking stroking himself the whole time when I watch that movie, because I'm just like, this is so fucking pretentious. pretentious in such a weird way, because usually pretentious films are ones that are obviously handling more serious fucking subject matter, where this movie seems like it is trying to have fun, but it's also not. It's like, we are so artsy, watch us. And the whole time I'm like, I desperately want to turn this fucking off. But like I said, the cinematography is absolutely gorgeous in that film. I'll never take that away from it. But I haven't been watching a lot of movies lately. I've been binge watching Mr. Robot, because that show's fucking great.
Did you finish that?
I haven't finished it yet.
Motherfucker.
So,
dude, shit, bro, I'm so busy.
I know how that is. Well, when I get my new laptop, I'm probably going to start a YouTube channel largely focusing on television, because I do feel like movies have taken a step back and television's taken a big step up.
For
right?
sure. It's just because it's also more like a book, because the narratives get so much more deeper.
And
you get more into the characters. You can only do so much in a film.
Well, and with Mr. Robot,
films are getting still anyway with the reboots and all that
bullshit
anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's been that way for a while.
And with the platforms that are out.
Yep. And with Mr. Robot, I really want to do a video focusing on unconventional storytelling, because that's what Mr. Robot is in every sense of the word. Like from the fourth wall breaks that constantly happen, which is something that most writers tell you not to do, from the voiceovers, which aren't fourth wall breaks at times, which most writers tell you not to do. And then the actual filming of it, though.
It's one of the best shot movies
ever.
But
not only that, it has the most unconventional framing ever. Like
when two people are talking, one guy's always on one side and the other guy's always all the way on the other.
Yeah, so
that's crazy.
So like, usually what will happen is, I can't even, this is probably going to be flipped, so I'll do it wrong. But essentially, if my framing's here, and I'm talking to someone off camera over here, normally the way you want to frame it is you want to leave open space to where the eyes are looking, right? It's suggestive of where they're looking, and it gives you an idea of the spacing in a room, right? So if my framing's here, my head's normally going to be on this side as I'm looking this way. Bring my hand over there. So anyway, what Mr. Robot constantly does is they put them on the inside of the frame, where the eyes are looking right towards the edge. And what that is it's confusing for the space of what's happening in a film, and not only that, they give you this max fucking headroom in every shot.
The shot's huge.
Yeah, and they make it fucking work. And
totally.
And what it is I think it's definitively a decision they made intentionally, because the director, the producer, Sam Esmail, dude's a fucking G. He directed 38 episodes of like a 48 episode show.
He writes it, everything.
That is keel over and die level of work. When you're producing, writing, and directing almost every episode, I'm having a hard time directing a fucking short film, let alone fucking direct 38 episodes of a major show on television.
Bad motherfucker, dude. That's Mr. Robot's at least one of my top 5 shows of all time, as far as, like you said, the shots, the acting, the fucking music. Matt Quayle, his name is,
which sounds just like fucking Reznor from Nine Inch Nails.
It sounds like what Reznor could have, you know what I mean, if he was to do like TV shows. And
that's who I thought it was at first.
Well, because Reznor does a lot of Fincher movies, and you could tell that they're going for a Fincher vibe 100%, which Fincher's fucking the goat.
I listen to the fucking Mr. Robot fucking soundtrack on my Spotify.
Oh, I would too. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
But I really want to do something about that show, because it's so unconventional. It's because the scripts are unconventional. Although I think some of the twists are a little obvious. Like, I'm not going to ruin it, but who Mr. Robot is. Although I didn't know the full connection. I knew that it was Elliot. I'll just say that. I knew it was him talking to himself from like the second episode on, and then they don't reveal it until like the 8th episode. But it was still great.
It was so
especially
amazing.
Right when it came out, and you were watching it week to week.
It was so
because it was very
amazing.
like, this is Fight Club.
Yeah.
Fucking, and like all kinds of different things we were into.
And I remember when it first came out, because Game of Thrones was right in the middle of Game of Thrones being the greatest thing ever, right? Yeah. And I remember telling everybody, the 3 greatest things I've ever seen are Game of Thrones, Mr. Robot, and then there's this old TV show called The Black Donnellys. And
which is crazy to say, because it's one season.
It's one season. It's one season, but it was so good. But Game of Thrones fucked it all up by the ending. So Mr. Robot have they ended it?
It's bad as fuck. So.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
I haven't finished it yet,
I need you to bring up a point. I don't know who you heard it from about Game of Thrones. Who said someone asked if they should watch it, and that's a hard thing to answer because.
So I was talking. No, I was listening to something. I think.
Make sure Amando's not.
I think I was listening to something. They were asking. One of the guys asked somebody, hey, and they both watched Game of Thrones, and they both were disappointed, like everybody. Yeah. And he said, would you, if somebody said, hey, if a friend came to you and said, hey, I've never seen Game of Thrones, do you think I should watch it? What would you say? And dude, I totally agreed with what the guy said, because my first thought was instantly, I would have to tell him, don't even bother,
Really?
because you're going to get so goddamn angry.
No, first excited.
You're going to
And
be
stoked
so
and
excited
fucking-
and pulled in and think this is the greatest thing ever, and then you're going to get so goddamn mad
Yeah.
that you wish you didn't get sucked in.
You know, I get that line of thinking, but my opinion is the greatness of seasons 1 through 4, and I believe season 6 is great as well.
So do I.
The greatness of those seasons
that the
does
last
over
season?
No, second to last.
No,
Okay,
actually
okay.
7, 8, but I think
Sorry.
season 5 is not good. So I think season 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 6 are so great that they do outweigh the not so goodness of 5, 6, and 7, or 5, 7, 8. Sorry,
Yeah.
but with that said, I do agree that the last 2 seasons are just so rushed and bad.
And the thing is, endings matter.
They
dude.
do.
They do.
You
They
know,
do. This is the most
endings
important part,
fucking
clearly,
matter.
the beginning and the end. Yeah. Well, fuck it. I can't say which one's more important than the first or second act, because the second act, a lot of shit gets
Endings.
done.
But you know what? A good ending can forgive those things in the first and second act. Does that make sense?
But yeah, if the ending
If the
makes
ending's
a lot
just
of
amazing,
sense, yeah.
you could forgive bad,
but
shitty things.
you also got to keep people's attention though, which the first 4 seasons.
Well, I'm just
did.
saying, like,
let-
getting away with it.
Yeah, I get
Let
that,
me
yeah.
explain something that I go through all the time with comic books, okay? Comic books have a really fucking bad problem of they have these things called events, where they're like, they go through all the different titles.
Yep.
And it's this huge event, and it's totally, you lead up to it. It's got to build up. The event's awesome, but the endings of them always fucking suck.
Comics.
The ending of there's like 1 out of every 30 will be decent, and you get so tired of it that
Yeah.
you quit wanting to fuck with events, because you get so let down.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because endings matter.
Yeah.
They
You're right.
fucking matter, man.
Yeah.
And you have.
I've been disappointed by so many fucking shows, dude. Like
Yes.
Dexter, fucking.
Fucking Walking Dead after
Walking
the first
Dead.
season.
Walking Dead. Yeah.
They should have never fired Frank Darabont. Every person that made that decision should be fired.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, Frank Darabont is the reason
I
that
totally
show is
fucking forgot
good.
about that.
Yeah.
He's the one that even got it off the ground.
Yep,
isn't
he's the reason that show is good in the first place. That show went down the hill so bad. Me and every time we watch it, although I think Andrew Lincoln does do a good job. Me and my girlfriend rewatch it occasionally. I just always hear him say shit like, "Give me that rusty bucket," and fucking weird shit. His accent is just so over the top because he's super British,
Australian.
obviously.
Oh, I thought he was.
No,
he's
he's
British.
I think he's
Oh.
maybe he's Australian,
I
but
don't know.
either way, he has
Jamie?
a strong accent. And although he does do a good job most of the time, but it's certain words everyone knows fucking coral and shit like that. But there's an episode in season 3 where he says "rusty bucket," and it's so fucking funny. I can't hear it without laughing my ass off every time.
Here's where that show fucked up. I'm gonna tell you the definitive fucking moment that show fucked up. When they fucking fucked with the Carl, when they killed off Carl.
Oh yeah,
and
that's
you didn't
definitive no turning back zone.
Yeah, and you
yeah.
didn't have the Negan Carl relationship,
Yep,
because in
I
the
read
comics,
Yep.
that is one of the greatest moments in all the comics.
I
Once
agree.
you
Skipped
get
it?
that turn,
I agree.
because that Robert Kirkman was so genius in
Mm-hmm.
the writing that series, and every series Robert Kirkman writes is
Yeah,
amazing.
he's good.
Go read Invincible.
Didn't he leave the show at that point? Though?
Yes, yeah,
That's probably why that happened.
So, and there's a moment in Walking Dead in the comic where there's this character turn. You hated Negan so much, and you think the shit in fucking the show is brutal. You have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, you hated that character, and there was a turn in the character where Carl started having a relationship with Negan, and
Sees
Negan
him more as his dad.
sees him more as a father figure, and you fucking fall in love with Negan. The
Yep.
same
That's the
thing
best
that
thing writing you can do.
Yes.
When you turn a character. They do that in
George
Game of
R.R.
Thrones.
Martin,
Yeah,
yeah.
he fucks Alpha up in that shit too.
Yes,
like
yeah.
within a second. Just,
Yeah.
I mean, he gains her. Sorry, that was probably popped really loud. But he gains her trust real quick, and I
Yeah.
don't want to ruin it. But yeah, the comics are fantastic.
Yeah.
If you're really disappointed with the show, just read.
But
the
didn't they
comics.
just end that abruptly too, with no ending?
Well,
Well,
he
they
got
showed
he got tired of writing
Oh,
it.
the comic, I think, just
yeah,
ended.
it was quite abrupt. It
Yeah.
ends with something happening to Rick in
Yeah.
the New World Order.
Because was it
essentially,
Kirkman just sick of doing it? It was
Yeah,
just
he's
fucking,
just
fuck
getting
this
tired
shit.
It was very much a surprise because he kept saying, "Oh, there's one more compendium left," which is like
Yeah.
45 comic issues. I
And
guess.
he always said that he knew when it was going to be.
Yeah,
when
or like
it-
60
Did you say
issues,
one more?
sorry.
What left?
Compendium, which is a large,
Like
it's a
a
large
trade.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah.
because he releases it via volume, which is smaller,
And
but
that's
then
like a
he'll
storyline.
yeah, and he'll take them
Story
all,
arcs,
story
yeah.
arcs
Yeah.
that all add up, but then he'll take it all and put it in. So like the first compendium where does that end? It shows pretty much all. Of
I don't know,
prison?
because I actually
It's like 16
when I was
volumes.
reading The Walking Dead, I read the actual floppies. So
Okay, yeah.
I was going through. They would come out every month.
Yeah.
So I was reading, the story arcs. Usually in a comic, a story arc can be anywhere from like 4 issues to 12 issues.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was but they did turn them into those badass big thick compendiums where, like you said, it's a couple story arcs in one, or one big long story arc.
Yeah.
Is that when you buy because you have books and
Yeah,
it'll
the
just
big
be like
thick
all
ones.
of them in one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bigger
That's-
And
pages,
they made
more
like 3 or
beautiful
4 for Walking
colors.
Is there a
Yeah.
word for those
Yep.
books?
Well, there's omnibuses, there's absolute editions, there's
the absolute ones. I've
Yeah.
seen around.
yeah.
Well, and some of my flaws with the show is like, one, they wanted to make so much money off that shit that they extended it to like 16 episodes per season, which is fucking bullshit.
And another show.
Oh yeah, and never take a show and stretch it that far. You'll see most shows that are great refrain from going past 12 episodes.
Yeah, but I was just thinking
And
about this the other day.
that's
A lot
good.
of the old shows would go 24 episodes.
Well, but that's because
like
they were-
fucking,
that's because they were-
Heroes, fucking.
But oftentimes,
24.
although Heroes, they do have an ultimate storyline, but a lot of the times those episodes would pretty much be singular. You know what I mean? You could
That's
watch
true.
one episode at any point in time, because a lot of the times they would get the airing mix up, so they say, fuck it, you know what I mean? Just make one episode that tells its own story, and it doesn't have to be in order, because we're probably going to release episode 7 first, and then 12, and then 1, and then 3. And that's even happened to shows like intentionally well, not intentionally, but on accident, that completely fucked their run. I can't remember what it was, but one show they released the wrong episode as the pilot or some shit. I can't remember. Yeah, they fucked it.
I was
But
like, what the fuck's going on
I can't
here?
remember what show that was either. I'll have to think about it. But the worst mistake they did was stretch it to 16 episodes so nothing fucking happens. And I know most people are going to disagree with this entirely, although I think they killed Shane at the right time, but the show was missing a solid villain like Shane
in
for
the
the
second
longest
season.
time.
Or
And,
third season.
and don't get me wrong,
yeah.
in the comics, he was dead way before
Yeah, but
the show.
you're right.
Yeah.
The show had to be a little bit different.
Yeah,
It had to be.
And I think it missed a character like
And
Shane.
here's
he
where,
was great.
Here's
He was
another
great.
reason where they fucked up. The whole fucking Michonne Rick relationship was
Yeah,
stupid.
because they killed Andrea. Because
Yes.
people hated Andrea. But you know what? It shows that they just like want to just give in to their fans constantly. Andrea
Yeah,
and
that's
Rick's
right.
relationship is a great one in the comics.
dude,
and they should have left her
Michonne
around.
and Tiger Dude's relationship is
Ezekiel.
Ezekiel is
Yep.
awesome in the comics.
Yep.
It's fucking great.
Yep.
And Ezekiel, like, dude, I was heartbroken when what's his name, the
gets
tiger
spiked.
died.
Yeah. Oh,
Dude.
Shiva or whatever. it
Shiva,
is,
when
yeah.
Shiva died, dude, that character was my favorite character for the longest time. They made this badass G.I. Joe homage cover of Shiva and Ezekiel.
That's pretty
and it
sweet.
looks like the Tiger Force G.I. Joe figures.
That's pretty sweet.
But anyways,
Yeah, that shows the definition of botched, though. Like all the way. All the way. Yeah.
they do that all the time.
Yeah.
Well, fucking, we got Mando coming up as our next guest. Start prepping for that. I don't know. Is there anything you want to plug? Do you have any social media or anything like that?
Fuck Manny. I'm better than him in every way possible. I'll tell
That's
him
why you
that
were
when
first.
I see him. Yeah, of course. That's why I came first. Because I'm a bad bitch. No. I mean,
Where can they see your pictures and shit?
So you could probably just follow me on Facebook at andrewtougas. I'm gonna make an Instagram soon, and I'm gonna start uploading more photos and try and do more photography from now on, because it's fun. I like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll probably make an Instagram soon. So just if you are really interested, just look out for my name. I'll have it up in a couple weeks. But just follow me on Facebook for now. I need to get on my social media game. I'm a fucking boomer. I'm a 26-year-old boomer. Trust me. Outside of like watching a bunch of YouTube
Well, social media
videos,
sucks.
yeah, it really does. I mean, and it sucks, but it's also so addicting. So I've tried to avoid it because especially like my Facebook timeline is just a fucking cesspool of bad takes all around. So so I've tried to avoid social media in a lot of ways, but I need to start an Instagram. I need to get on it, but right now all I'm on is Facebook. So
That's cool.
just watch
Let
out
me
for
know
that.
and we'll add the Instagram when it's ready.
Yeah,
And
I
we'll also
appreciate
talk
that.
about your YouTube channel when you get it going and shit.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get that up soon. I've been wanting to do one for like a year though, and I never get it done. But that's because my editing sucks. So anyway, my editing software sucks. My editing's not great either. But anyway, so
We'll get there.
yeah, I'm getting a new
I'm
laptop,
sure it's
and
fine.
hopefully I can get a video up within the next month because I got like 10. Oh, I want to do Ozark, by the way. Ozark and Foreshadowing. Oh my, that show. I know we can't get into it. I know we got not a lot of time, but Ozark's one of the best shows when it comes to foreshadowing. So that's another show I'm going to focus on, things like that. So yeah.
Cool. You want to do shout outs real quick, McCoy?
Yeah, most definitely. Make sure you guys go check out, if you're into comic books and collecting comic books and stuff like that at all, make sure you guys go check out the Tales from the Flip Side YouTube channel. We just interviewed the primary grader at CGC, the other night on Weekend Update with Nico, so make sure you check that out. Shout out to Matt Nelson, CGC primary grader. He was really cool, answered a lot of really interesting questions about grading comics. So if you're into that and you want like an inside view on how everything works and you know what goes into getting your comic graded and how your comic is handled in that process, make sure you guys go check that out. And just yeah, make sure you check it out and go subscribe to the channel.
Sweet.
Tales from the Flip Side on YouTube.
Oh yeah, awesome. And thanks Andrew for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate your time, and you're welcome back anytime you want.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you guys for having me.
Hell
Thank
yeah.
you all for watching at home.
Hell yeah. And that
It's been
is
nice.
a wrap on episode 85 of The Bogcast.
I got a
Nice.
bang.